Hey everybody, it's William Price here. Really excited to be part of this project. So keen to be sharing some information with you in this WhatsApp and YouTube training sessions that have been put together by GIZ, and excited to be sharing some information around South Africa and some social media tips to fill in the content that we hope will help you run some better campaigns. So I want to just thank you for the opportunity. I think with Elizabeth and the team, we've been working together over the last couple of months and years now. So very excited to see the format change. So ready to jump right in. So here we go. As you can see from the slides, really want to pay attention to just the South African market and what South Africa is particularly after with regards to social media campaigns and how you can win in this market to try and promote Malawi as a destination. One of the things that's happened recently, obviously, is COVID, and really one of the key messages is that travel is going to be recovering quite quickly. So that's an important thing for us to pay attention to, and the time that we take to get ready for that, recovery is such an important thing for us to pay attention to. I think some of the key things that we've discovered in doing some research in the South African market to better position Malawi as a destination is going to come through. And I know that there's been a lot of research and questionnaires that have already been sent, and really grateful for your feedback on that. Some of the things that I'm going to just really kind of pay attention to is really understanding in your minds as tourism and hospitality providers that the consumer really has 5 stages of travel, and the 5 stages of travel as defined by Google really include the dreaming stage, the planning stage, the booking stage, the actual experience of the travel, and then going on and sharing that information afterwards. So a couple of key things just to remember. Malawi really isn't in the top 20 destinations as far as South African travelers are concerned. And that's a very important thing to understand, because for you to be able to compete as a destination, you've got to understand the landscape in which your consumer is going to be consuming information and making decisions about where they want to go next and what kind of experience they're after. So it's important for us to understand that the kind of campaigns that we put together, number one, has to drive awareness. And that's really important, because until there's any awareness, people aren't going to think of your destination. And then there needs to be some positivity with that destination that drives people to seek out more information. So some of the competitors in that landscape include Kenya, the Maldives, and Zanzibar specifically. So as a destination, you've got to start competing really smartly to outwit and outlast and outplay those kind of destinations. The other thing that's important to understand is that social media has become a huge inspirational channel for a lot of people. They're seeing things on social media and they're asking questions about where it is I want to go next and what it is I should experience. So the content in social media really needs to be appealing, it needs to be informative, but it also needs to be inspiring. We need to create compelling content that doesn't forget about where this actual experience takes place, or more information to find out easily about what I can do to get there myself. The other thing to consider is that consumers are using lots of different channels to make their travel decisions. So it's important that we don't just put our eggs in one basket. We've got to be where those consumers are. And that means that if you're not familiar with Facebook, or if you're not familiar with TripAdvisor, or if you're not familiar with Instagram, if that's where your audience is, you need to start using that platform really, really well to be able to get in front of those users. The last thing that's important is that you've got to understand that the Malawi travel information needs to be consistent, and it needs to be found in all of those platforms. So which platforms am I talking about? Instagram has been one of the best hand-in-glove kind of fits for travel in the last couple of years. Instagram is a great platform for people to share video and images, and it's all about that wow factor. It's all about look at where I am and look at what I'm doing. So as a destination or as an experience provider in the hospitality trade, you've got to provide information for people to be able to see, wow, this is what I can expect to experience, or this is what other people are experiencing here, and this is what information is available for them to be able to find out more. What can I do? Where can I go? What else is available? Facebook is another big thing for us. We believe that Facebook is one of the most important travel platforms at the moment because of the fact that consumers are there all of the time. They like being inside the Facebook platform. Similarly, with Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, you've got to understand that those platforms are an ecosystem that are designed to trap users. So your content needs to work within those platforms to be able to inspire and inform those consumers. If you're not an expert at Twitter, but you think that your audience is at Twitter, you need to start understanding how to use that platform really well. Google Maps is a key platform also that a lot of people forget about. And Google is really one of those things that fits in travel because of the fact that it's maps. It's about what else can I do? What's close by? What else is there that's available for me to experience? And if your content is not geolocated, whether it's in Instagram, Facebook, or Google Maps, people are not going to be able to find where you are or where it is that the other locations of other things that are happening in and around you. Finally, we can't forget about YouTube or TripAdvisor or Booking.com. These are important platforms because people are sharing information. People are really looking at what other travelers have to say about places and experiences. And booking platforms like Booking.com become a really important source for travelers to give them everything that they need in one place. When they feel familiar with the Booking.com and they like to be able to buy all of their travel in Booking.com, that's really where you need to make sure that your content is consistent, not only on your website and your social feeds, but also on these booking platforms, because that's where people make their decisions. So to summarize, each of these platforms has a unique feature and a unique usage that you've got to understand. If you can't do all of these platforms really well, you certainly need to understand which customers and which potential audiences favor which platform, and start with one and do it really, really well. The other thing that we need to look at is the fact that travel and tourism is social. And the reason why I say that is because we need to not get into a place where we forget how social works. Social uses all kinds of things. And the most important thing that we think that we can get you to do quickly that's going to give you good results is how to use hashtags effectively. This has also come up in some of the research questionnaires and the surveys that have been done. People want to know why it's important to use a hashtag. A hashtag very simply allows you to categorize content. And if you're not aware of which hashtags people are using to be able to search out information for your destination, you lose the opportunity to actually get your posts categorized in that hashtag. The most important hashtag that people in Malawi from a tourism and hospitality sector need to pay attention to is Lake Malawi. Lake Malawi is iconic. And just like the Eiffel Tower in Paris, if you don't make use of an iconic hashtag and you start building your content around that, people are going to miss the opportunity to find your content. So when people are looking for things like Lake Malawi using a hashtag, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, if your content hasn't got those same hashtags in them, you're going to miss the opportunity. Now, we've done some research on hashtags, and you'll see later on in the presentation, there are two other presentations that we're going to draw your attention to that you really need to get familiar with. This is part of the GIZ project that we've done before, and it goes into a little more detail as to how it is you choose these hashtags and how you can create a content plan to use those iconic hashtags really well. The important thing with hashtags is that as you start to put the information around the post, a hashtag is just part of the post. You need to have a smart comment. You need to have really great content that you're sharing, whether it's a beautiful image or really beautiful video. Your content needs to be locatable, so there needs to be some kind of location that you introduce. So where is this actual experience happening, and how can I find out more information? The content in terms of what words you use to describe the actual post, and then obviously handles that people are using to be able to try and promote those different experiences as well. So a couple of examples there. You'll see here that this shot was actually taken at Lake Malawi National Park. You can see some of the hashtags that they've used is Lake Malawi, Malawi, Africa, World Photography Day, Sunset, Reflection, Silhouette, Canon, Explore, Adventure, and Boat. So these are some of the content pieces these are some of the hashtags that people are including in the content, but you'll notice that not only the image gives you a great depiction of what's going on there, but also they've actually located the particular post to a particular place, which is important. Here you can see that this image is actually taken at the Blue Zebra Island Lodge, and you can see that there's a just underneath the actual caption itself, where they've used Lake Malawi in the caption, they've actually tagged the handle travel_Malawi_guide, and they've actually added a few other hashtags: island escape, hidden gem, social distancing, and you're starting to see how you can use hashtags and handles in the language of your posts. And that's really understanding the social media language that's being spoken out there. You'll also see that there have been over 270 likes to this particular image. And this is a great way for you to start using an engagement approach to seeing which people are commenting and where they're commenting from and what else they've seen and done. Are these guests that you've perhaps had that you can actually engage with further and invite them back later? These are all things that you can start depicting and learning from the content that's actually in these posts. Again, a great example here, and here I'd like to highlight that in the post itself, you'll notice that they've included contact information, which people are doing more and more. There's an email address and a WhatsApp telephone number that people have actually included in the caption. And that makes it easy for travelers who are finding this in Instagram to make a call to action works. In other words, what I want them to do, I'm putting the information right there for them to either WhatsApp me or to email me straight away if they have inquiries or they actually want to come and visit. The next thing that I'd like to just emphasize is that social media is highly, highly measurable. Everything that we do, we can see what works very quickly, and we can start to shift and change to see which content pieces, whether it's video or images, the hashtags, the comments, the shares, the likes, we can start seeing very quickly what we need to do to be able to manage and grow those performance indicators as we go. The other thing to remember is that your audience is going to be more or less engaged on different platforms, and you need to understand which content performs better where. So please don't make the mistake of just putting all your content out across every single channel in exactly the same way. What you do on Facebook, what you do on Twitter, even what you do on LinkedIn or what you do on TripAdvisor, people use platforms differently, so you've got to make sure that your content performs the way people expect for it to work. Decide what your call to action is. Each post should actually drive someone to do something else. Don't just post a beautiful image for the sake of posting an image and have a pretty hashtag. Tell them what you want them to do next. Join us for your next anniversary. Invite your friends to comment and share and like content. Get them to go to the next step in terms of that consideration. So that's what you have to understand in terms of your call to action before you get your post done. And we'll talk a little bit about that from a content planning point of view as well. The important thing also, right now, so much is happening from a social media point of view, and so many people are trying to decide where to go and what they want to do. So when your content starts to stand out, beyond just showing people what you have to offer, but you're starting to create great stories about what you have to offer. Here, the example shows the guys who have been, providing scuba tours during this time of lockdown. They've actually started to replant their coral reefs instead. And this becomes a very nice story element, which people are going to pick up on and start wondering what it is that they can do to participate beyond just coming and showing up and having a good time. And that's an important thing for you to consider in terms of creating your social content. Now, when it comes to the actual creation of your content, South Africans particularly are very, very interested in what they can see and what they can do and what they can experience. So things like video, things like beautiful images, things like multiple images in posts on Facebook and Instagram start to create that sense of what it is I can expect when I go. So when you start to put these content plans together, work out a simple plan that from week to week, you can start posting things that becomes consistent and that people can start expecting and that they can start getting comfortable with. We go into a lot of detail in terms of content planning and how you need to structure those things in the additional presentations that are going to be made available to you as well, where we go into a little more detail. But really it comes down to, how do you curate great content? This doesn't mean that you have to go out there and spend big budget on content. This means that if you smartly look out for what content has already been created by people who have visited and experienced what it is you have to offer, you can curate that content and you can comment on that content and you can share that content that other people have created for you without costing anything to your bottom line. And that starts to create a little bit of buzz, and that starts to show people what they can expect. And most importantly, as I mentioned, it's not your content to own. The next thing is to try and collaborate. We worked very closely with the guys from Cape Maclear, and they've got a plan to start sharing information via WhatsApp. All of the actual managers of the various providers are actually collaborating via WhatsApp, sharing content with each other, and then they post that content across their own platforms. So there's an opportunity to collaborate well, and that's something that we really want to encourage to create great social traction. And then the last thing is, when you do start to create your own content, you've got to understand that creating content is going to take time and effort. So pay attention to what your story is, pay attention to who your audience is, and pay attention to how people are actually experiencing what you have to offer. Those three things are going to give you a lot of good, juicy stuff to consider when you are actually creating your content. The other thing that I want to show you here is just how you can start to learn from what other people are doing. It's important for you to look beyond Lake Malawi. It's important for you to look beyond Africa. Start looking at other destinations. How are they creating content? What are they doing? What kind of campaigns are they running? How are they structuring their posts? What can you see from their posts that gives you an idea of what their content plans look like? Learn from them, experiment, try and engage across different platforms and see what works and what doesn't work for you. This is a great opportunity. Social platforms allow you to experiment and to have fun and to see what can actually work for you and engage with those audiences that have come and who want to come, because that's really the opportunity that social offers. The last thing that I want to share is just really around how there's already been a lot of work that the Department of Tourism in Malawi have done. Pay attention to what they're also doing. It's very simple to do a simple social media strategy, and those presentations that I mentioned before go into how do you define that. You've got to remain consistent in the work that you do. You've got to be predictable. Make sure that you are actually working with the guys in your region. Share information. Decide which hashtags work best for you and your region. Use those together. Share the content. Collaborate with one another and make sure that you can mix things up so that your content is not only inspirational, but it's informative as well. And that it includes that call to action that people go, wow, this is what I can expect. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do next. Those resources that I mentioned before, the links will be sent in the actual WhatsApp group, so you'll be able to find these two presentations. These are modules 2 and 3 of 3 modules that we've presented in the last year. Go ahead and dig deep into this content. It's really powerful and valuable. It's very specific to Malawi, and there's so much content in here that you can benefit from. That's it from me. I look forward to be able to answering all the questions and answers. And I thank you for your time. I look forward to what we're going to be doing together in the coming weeks. And I just want to thank you for your time and attention.